Well, I'll try to make this, short to the point, but try to cover all the details of what happened. Basically, the way the Confederacy came about was we were looking for a way for people to come together. The Grand Council that was set up, it was set up to bring the people back together. And so we looked to them. I know myself as a Nanticoke-Lenape person, I looked at them as our leaders to bring us back together. And that's what they had done. They brought us back together. They allowed us to go back and be part of those gatherings. And that part was great. And what happened was we could not be a part of the Grand Council because of the way they're structured. So with that in mind, we felt kind of left out. Like we could not be a part of a whole. And so a few nations got together at the Bucktown, when they had their Grand Council meeting up in Bucktown. And we talked about this in one of the hotel rooms. There were nations there from Raventown, from Nanticoke-Lenape in New Jersey, from the Lenape people in Delaware, from the Lenape people in Pennsylvania, and Ramapo. I believe those were the ones that were represented in there at that time. And we talked about a few odds and things, and talked about, well, how can we be a part of this Grand Council? Because it's a great thing. We want to be a part of it. We want to be a part of that unity of our people, or the coming together of our people. And as we talked, we learned, I know I learned that night, that it wasn't able to because of that structure, as I mentioned before. And so we're like, well, we need to come back together and find a new way. And that's how the Confederacy came about. It was mentioned that night in that hotel room. And there was a consensus that says, yeah, our people do need to come together without restrictions put upon us by the Canadian government or the U.S. government. We should have the right to govern ourselves, to come back together in that way, if we choose to. And from that's how we got started. And with that concept in mind, we made small presentations the following day at that Grand Council meeting. It seemed to go over quite well at that point in time. We had the support from some of our elder ladies, our elder women. They supported what we had to say. And from there, Bruce and I spoke. And we said, well, in order for this to happen, we need to contact all of our individual Lenape groups. So, when was that? We went around. Spring 2001. Bruce and I, we set out and we visited all those nations that were within that first meeting. We felt we'd give them the courtesy and go to them first. And we went to each one of their communities and we spoke to them. We went to Ramapo. We went to Nanticoke-Lenape in South Jersey. We went to Delaware Nation, the Delaware people in Dover, Delaware, Cheswell. And we also went to, where did we go in Pennsylvania? I can't think of the name of the town. Norristown, Pennsylvania, to speak with the Lenape people that were there. And we just brought a concept to them. We went to them telling them that, no, we're nobody. I'm a small man. I'm just one man. I'm a little person. I'm not going there. I'm not representing the Nanticoke-Lenape people. I'm representing Yuri Ridgeway. Bruce is representing Bruce Stonefish. We went there as an individual person. Just two young men trying to plant a seed in people's head. Trying to generate talks. Trying to generate a forum. so people can go back to their dinner tables and speak among their families, talk about coming together, so they can speak among their community, so their tribal elders can speak about this and discuss this and see if it's anything that they will be wanting to participate in. And that was the mission of our journey that spring. However, we're not finished. We need to go to each one of our Indian nations, each one of our Lenape nations, and speak to them so we can plant the seed with them, so they can discuss amongst themselves that they want to be a part of this, that this is something that the people want. And we've taken a vow that we will go around and at least address this in each one of our Lenape nations. We're going to travel to Canada. We're going to travel to Wisconsin. We're going to travel to Oklahoma. We're going to travel to Indiana, Ohio. Wherever there are Lenape people, we're going to travel there. Hoping that someday this discussion that took place in that hotel room at 2:30 in the morning, that can become a reality, and our once great Lenape nation can come together as a whole once again. So that's the basis on how this came about.
When we came forward, first thing that we said in all the meetings was that what our stake is in this. And we're not here to be the Delaware Prophet or be here the Delaware heroes or be anything that's put up on a pedestal and looked at, look at these great guys or look at these good-looking men, you know. Those types of things. But we just wanted to come up because the stake that we have in it is we both have sons. And I have 2 daughters besides my son. He has 2 sons. And that's our stake in it. We grew up with somewhat of a little bit of identity, wondering who we were, and being able to connect to the rest of the family of Lenape people and where they are. And I don't want my kids to go through the same thing, the same search for their identity and search for their family. And I don't want my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, so when that comes down the road 50 years from now, for them to still be looking for that same thing. Still be missing that same thing inside them, you know, that supports their life. Missing their family. That's what I want my little ones and my unborn little ones to have for them. I'm not here to make money. We're not here for those types of things, individual things. The only greed we have in it is for our own family. But when you look at it from a concept that our children are your children, everybody has the same stake in it. The same future of our families and our communities. We all carry the same stake. So I don't think that, and we wanted to put that out there because we realize that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to step up and cause havoc. And we wanted to let you know that we're speaking from here, we're speaking from our heart, and we're trying to be genuine to you, so that you know that we don't have any ulterior motives. You know, even though I'm in Harvard, I'm not here to gather information so I can write this dissertation and publish something that says, Bruce Stonefors did this. It's not what I'm here for. It's because of my little ones, my babies. That's what I'm here for. When we went around, we talked about those types of things, and me and Yuri had our own little visions, whether it was sovereignty, you know, being our own nation within North America. There was lots of ideas we threw out there as far as language. How do we address our language? How do we want to educate our children? How can we help each other? Politically? How do we want to govern ourselves? You know? All those different things, the positive things is what we tried to put out there. But at the same time, we put out the negative things that we could think of. And I'm sure there's lots of positive things and negative things that we have never even thought of. And that's what we need everybody to do. And that's part of what life, when we went around, we talked about coming back to this gathering and actually having an open forum where people can stand up and speak positively and negatively about what they think of a confederacy. And the confederacy can be what we make it as a people. Not what Murray and Bruce want it to be, not what Mark wants it to be, not what Dennis Coker wants it to be, but what the people want it to be. So I can stand up here and give all kinds of dreams and visions that are going to be my particular ones. But I'm not trying to lead you in a direction that I see for myself. I want the people to determine their direction. I want you to stand up. And you might not be a tribal leader, but you're a parent. And if you're not a parent, you're an aunt or you're an uncle. And that same stake is in there. And think about those kids that are going to come in our future. Think about those ones that are coming. And think, what do we want for them? What do I want to take care of my children? And I want the community to set the direction, set the representation, set the membership. Because that is one of the negative things that's going to happen is the membership. We have Canadian federally recognized tribes. We have Canadian non-status Indians that are Delaware. We have U.S. federally recognized. We have U.S. state recognized, U.S. unrecognized. All those different groups and all those different labels and all those different classifications are not our own. Traditionally, from speaking as a Lenape person, before Europeans got here, we determined who Lenape was. And if this thing is going to work, we're going to have to determine that. We're going to have to determine our membership. We're going to have to say who's going to be Lenape. And each and every one of you is going to have to say, do I want to be part of that group? And if I am part of it, how can I help it? Not how can I break it down, but how can I help it? So that's the type of things we talked about. Yesterday in the meeting, I did the same sort of leading into it of what me and Yuri have talked about and talked about and talked about. How do we approach this? How do we present this? We did the same thing in the meeting in the morning yesterday, looking for feedback. We had a few general comments. There was a lot of new faces in the room at that time to hear this idea. So there wasn't a whole lot of commentary about that. And I'm not going to speak out for anybody's commentary in those meetings, because I wasn't chosen as a official representative to step up and say, speak for Dennis Coker or speak for Mark Peters. So we want to open up the forum again. What we did do in the second meeting is those that were in the meeting wanted to make sure that we don't let this and come back next year and have Yuri and Bruce stand up here and talk to a whole new different group of people at the same spot where we are today. And there was a consensus among the group that we wanted to set some type of goal, some type of movement, and put some onus on ourselves, the ones that sat around that table, to put some onus on ourselves to make a commitment to each other individually, not as government representatives, but individually, just as me and Yuri have done. And what came out of it was a resolution. They actually wrote up a resolution, and it was agreed to by that group. It was just a standing group. I don't know what you want to call it. It was just a group of individuals that are out there to try and that put a little piece of paper between all of them and made this commitment to each other. Not as governments, not as representatives, but as Lenape individuals concerned for Lenape future considerations for the Confederacy. And we all had different little ideals about it too. And we discussed those and debated different things, and we wanted to jump right in and tackle some issues. But in the end, as when Mark reads the resolution or when Earl reads the resolution, you'll see that it is just a very broad statement that we were looking for a commitment from each other, and it's very formal in resolution-style writing. I don't know why we did it that way, but it got read out, and everybody says, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And it went ahead from there. So today, what we're looking for is for people to speak out. Our people
are scattered all over. And I dreamed of one day of seeing all of us come together, all Indian people. And
We aren't sitting around this table not knowing each other and doubting each other on our own doing. We didn't do this to ourselves. The people that came to this land and came into our territory and put me in Canada and put Curtis in Oklahoma, we had no control over that. Those things, we have to think about those things. We have to walk back, build those families up. We need that.
And it's very important to me that we all make this happen. It's going to benefit not just us, it's all the Lenape all over the United States. And it's very important that we do get this done, and as quickly as possible. But it's a long, hard struggle. Some going to oppose, some not. You know, I realize that it's not going to be an easy road to hoe, but it's something that has to get done. It's not for maybe not my generation, but the younger generations coming up that is really going to really benefit, and something that it's going to be carried on.
We've introduced an idea, but before this weekend is over with, unless there's some sort of a direction to go, all we'll do is come back a year from now in some other setting and we'll introduce ourselves again, and we'll keep repeating that year after year.
Okay, resolution. Whereas the Lenape people, also known as Delaware, through various historical occurrences, have been scattered into many separate communities throughout North America, and whereas the Lenape, since their dispersal, have continued to exist as separate communities in different ways and with different and separate governance structures. And whereas it is the desire of those individuals signing this resolution to unite the known families and communities of Lenape tribes and people that are known to exist. And whereas the Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape Indians of New Jersey hosted tribal discussions at the Lenape Then and Now Symposium to pursue the unification and or solidarity of the Lenape families, tribes, and communities, and whereas the undersigned tribal citizens desire that this initial unification will ultimately manifest itself into an organized Confederation of Lenape peoples. Therefore be it resolved that the undersigned tribal citizens hereby agree upon consenting to an organized and consistent purpose and mission to propose to their respective families, communities, and or tribal governments the concept of participating in the planning of this unification effort as presented at this meeting on October 20th, 2001, and be it further resolved that the undersigned tribal citizens hereby agree to propose to their respective families, communities, and or tribal governments to pursue efforts that will result in the unification and solidarity of the Lenape families and communities, and be it finally resolved that those signing below agree to participate in the planning processes through the above referenced pursuits and will report the result of their efforts within 6 months or less to Yuri Ridgway of the Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape and or Bruce Stonefish of the Muncie of Moranian Town, Canada, and will update and report at least each 6 months thereafter until the project planning is completed. This resolution was passed on the 20th day of October 2001 with the participation of all signers below in agreement to its passage.
Having designated two particular people as the ones who are going to assure and facilitate that this happens, I'm very proud and honored that they have offered their time and energy to do that, because that's going to be the most important part of this, is having someone, some persons to commit to what we are entering into today. So many times we want to do things with good intentions, but yet after a while we just lose that motivation because we have other things that we have to do in our lives. And I surely hope and expect that both Yuri and Bruce will follow through with what they've committed themselves to do. And I'm going to commit myself and our nation to participate with them in getting to where we want to go. So it's my privilege to sign this today.
My whole journey to Canada that weekend was so spiritually uplifting and so emotionally charged. The people, for one, you know, they came forth, they really came to me and reached out and were amazed that there was a group of their people that were still on their land down here. And I looked at those people and I saw my community back home, the elders, the ladies as they gather, and the men that are off in the corner in their little huddles, and the faces were so familiar. And so when we met in that room, there was a little turmoil that weekend, and when we met in that room that night, I was convinced at that time that this alliance would come to some sort of fruition, and I'm encouraged by the fact that we do have two strong leaders in this effort. I too have a son, and this information needs to get out to this youth, and hopefully through the efforts of these guys with their young guys interacting with my young guy, that we could make this something that will pull the youth together, and I think when that happens, the elders will drift in there. So I will take this message back to my people, and we've talked about it much as of late in our meetings and our council meetings, and I do have the commitment from our council. And they'll be so encouraged when I take a copy of this, when I hope when it's done that I can get a copy of it, just so I can distribute it and they can see the inclusiveness that we've been afforded in this opportunity.
I'd like to say to the Creator, this is a good thing. I seen this as a child. This is a dream coming true here today. I feel that this is all meant to be, the sign of the times that we live in. This is important for us to come together. I feel very honored to be a part of this and to be a Lenape, and eagerly will sign this for our people. Thank you.
Friends and relatives, thank you for allowing me a moment to stand here. I am a Lenape. I stand on Lenape land. I embrace the Lenape spirit. I support the language in this resolution, the meaning and intent behind it. I pledge my personal time and energy to take this message back to my community in Oklahoma.
It's an honor and a privilege, especially a privilege for me to be here amongst my people. I feel I was one of the lost ones, and now I have found my people. Although I'm from Brooklyn, New York, my people are here in New Jersey, and they are in Lenape, Delaware. And once again, it's been an honor to be here and to be a part of this.
Emphasize how important this is, not just to the Nanticoke of New Jersey, but to all other neighboring states. I just hope that we can get this up and running as quickly as possible, because there are some issues that we have that hadn't been addressed, but in the future I'm pretty sure we will address everything.
Thanks again for this honor to sign this paper. I'm really excited about the idea of a confederacy, because I think it's really important for the Lenape people to get together. I think that being a member of the Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape community puts us in a sort of interesting position, because as a state-recognized tribe, and we have the land and we have
a nice community here, but we've had to look to some of the recognized tribes to help us out in some things, whether it's learning dances or just basically helping us out in different aspects of our life here. And we've also been in a position to help out other Lenape people in our communities around here that have been out of our, in Delaware and other places. And, being helped and having the opportunities to also help, I think that's what this whole Confederacy is all about. So I hope that we can achieve that.
With this here Confederacy, it's a good thing, and I'm glad to see it happen, because we need that knowledge. We need them, the language, and the traditions of everybody throughout Canada and the United States, and to bring back the Lenape people as a whole. So I welcome this.
I'm very proud to sign this also, because this is also a dream that's been within me for a long time. And I might not get to see all that takes place before we come full circle with this, but this is a start. And my family will be protected.
As many of you know, my mom is Karen Mosley. She's a big part of this symposium, theatrical performance. And she wanted to see this Confederacy also. And she wanted to see her grandson, her granddaughter, Wesley and Alyssa, learn the Lenape ways, be able to play with other Lenape children.
We know who we are, and this is the same feeling that I have here. You guys know who you are, and now you know who we are, and we're part of you. And I feel really energized, and my heart is very open to what is going to happen here. I'm very proud to see everyone here. I'm very proud to be here.